Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by Cars.com. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to MotorWeek's 28th podcast, and this is the special holiday edition coming to you from our MotorWeek Studio C. And joining me around our table today is writer Shamit Choksi.
Happy holidays, John.
And road test producer Brian Robinson.
Hello.
And associate producer Ben Davis.
Jingle all the way.
And away we go. On our podcast this round, we're going to have our lightning round, and we'll also take a look at our MotorWeek mailbag as we usually do. But first, we're going to begin with the most recent and really the first auto show of the international season for 2010, even though it happened late in 2009. That's the Los Angeles Auto Show. And Shamit Choksi and I are pretty much just back from that. So, Shamit, let me start with you. Kind of sum up the show, what you thought about it. And this show usually is a harbinger of what Detroit and Chicago and New York is going to be, and it's usually very green. Did it live up to its billing?
I don't know if it was. This is what I'm taking away from it. I don't know if there was a particular theme here. I didn't walk away with any particular one thing that jumped out at me.
That the manufacturers were kind of like working on.
Yeah, I mean, it was green. From what I understand, there were about 50 new green unveilings. I mean, I
guess that depends on your shade of green, but okay.
That's right. Different degrees of green. Overall, but there were. You and I have been talking about this since we got back, and I feel like there are 3 or 4 things that jump out at us.
For instance,
on different levels. I mean, most ironically, Infiniti, which wasn't really even at the show. It was off-site, but they showed their new Infiniti M car.
An important car for them. Newly styled 420 horsepower engine. But we saw the car in Tokyo as well.
As the Fuga.
As the Fuga. That's where they introduced us. And from I did not actually see the car. You did, but it doesn't. It looks like it's pretty much the same car that we saw in Tokyo.
Same car. Okay. You wouldn't really know the difference, but. Impressive nonetheless.
And Jaguar, they were at the show, but their big event actually was off-site. So it was, in that aspect, it was very Hollywoodish, I guess.
It was. They had these sort of soirees that were not at the convention center, and it's very LA of them.
Now, when it comes to concepts, which we all like to write about, there weren't that many, but there were 2, right?
There were 2. There were 2 that I think caught our eye the most. One was the more practical of the 2 was the Volkswagen Up-Lite.
Now, this is the latest in a series of concepts they've done. This is called the Lite, and it was unusual because it actually looked like a real car. It was a 4-seater, and it looked like it's a diesel hybrid.
Yeah, I think this has the best shot of actually being a production car. They're claiming 70 miles to the gallon with this
which
thing.
Actually I thought was kind of low because it's not that big a car. And VW has said they will build a Lite here or sell a Lite here, but we don't know which one. But the other was curious.
Yeah, the other one was known as the Peanut, the Honda Peanut.
I bet you. Do you remember what it stands for?
Yeah, it stands for. Let me think about this for a second. It's personal neo-urban transport.
Okay. They had to work hard for that one.
Yeah, they did. Which now this car is more like a look into the future. It's a 3-seater city car. Who knows if it'll really be
pretty aggressive looking.
Cool looking. It looks like something out of nothing.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, Blade Runner's a good.
That's a good example.
Yep.
The show is supposed to be like the coming out party for the new GM. They made a lot of noise right in the week before the show, showing the new Cadillac CTS Coupe, which would be unveiled to the public at the show, and the new Buick Regal, which is basically a redone Opel, and. Yet they get there, and of course, the night before the opening ceremonies, their president is removed, or CEO is removed from his position. So that kind of grabbed all the headlines. So in a way,
the sizzle out.
It really did take the sizzle. I mean, they did make some important announcements. They showed the Cobalt as well, and they also announced that the Volt. Will go on sale as scheduled at the end of 2010, and one of the first markets, surprise, surprise, it will be sold in will be California.
Right.
So that makes sense. But beyond that, there were a couple of cars I think that are important that maybe didn't get as much play. One of them was the new Hyundai Sonata. all new for 2011. It looks bigger. It's a little bigger, still mid-size, more of a direct rival to Camry and Accord, but beautiful.
Sleeker looking for sure.
Just really expensive looking.
Powered by a 200-horse direct injection 4.
So, did a very, very nice job.
Yep.
We all got, those of us that haven't had a chance to actually get very close to a Fiesta. One of our staff did before, but I hadn't. The European Fiesta was there in all of its glory because Ford's going to be selling the heck out of those in the upcoming year. What else? This has been shown before, but I'm a big fan of the R8 if we're going to talk supercars, and they showed one which was with the top off. But it wasn't very green.
No, not green at all. But
that
beautiful.
was the thing. It was beautiful. I thought there was less green at this show than I expected.
Well, speaking of green, it was kind of a weird thing too. They do the green car unveiling every year. This was like the 5th one, and their selection this year kind of baffled me a little bit. They picked the A3 TDI.
And they had picked the Volkswagen TDI, Jetta TDI last year.
So it was almost like picking the same vehicle in a sea of, amongst other green cars that may have deserved it a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I'm just like, what would be your...
I don't see how you can ignore the Toyota Prius, the third-generation Prius, at 50 miles per gallon. And after our test, it really gets it.
Right. I think they gave it the Tahoe hybrid one year, too.
The first year.
Yeah,
the very first year.
And that was actually pretty controversial. Yeah. I remember a lot of people arguing that.
We should correct a rumor that's gone around. The Dodge Viper, according to Chrysler, will not end its run in 2011. The car that we now know as the Viper has one more year, and they showed a slightly updated version of that in L.A. But they're sort of claiming there's going to be something after Viper that will probably still have the Viper name, which I thought was very interesting, and that's generally not been reported. New Toyota Siennas, Toyota showing life. There's still some life in minivans.
Right.
And that was pretty much it.
Yeah,
so it was a good show, but not something that just blew you away.
Good show. And again, I didn't find an underlying theme here, which you usually do out there, but it is good. We saw some good stuff.
We're going to talk about another vehicle, which I had a chance to drive, I guess, earlier this year, and most of you have you've all had a chance to drive it in the last couple of weeks. And that is the Lincoln MKT. Now, let me set this up. This is Lincoln's latest shot at rejuvenating itself. The MKS sedan was very well received during the summer. Here comes the MKT. This is a large crossover utility. It is based on the Ford Flex. It has the one we had the uprated EcoBoost twin-turbo Ford engine, V6 that everybody's talking about. With that said, Ben and Brian, who wants to start? MKT, your impressions.
I'll start. Good setup. Let me spike it over the net. I was pretty amazed by the 50s Art Deco kind of kitchen appliance look to it. In a good
Inside
way.
or
In
outside?
Outside.
Okay. Well, actually, that grill goes back to the 1930s. It's the Zephyr, classic Zephyr grill from Lincoln in the 1930s.
I think it should have stayed there.
Well,
I got a lot
it was
of
about
compliments.
half as big then as it is now.
You got compliments?
I got tons of compliments.
Compliments?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I thought it looked like a train.
I'm talking traffic-like compliments.
Really?
Wind your window down. What is that kind of compliments?
No kidding.
Yeah.
So people really thought it was cool looking.
Well, it has a certain beauty to it, really, and it doesn't fit the mold of everything else out there on the street. It's truly unique unto itself.
That is true.
And that's refreshing in this day and age, I thought.
Yeah, I can't say I was impressed with the styling as Ben was. But having driven it, at the track and for a road test, it was pretty impressive. I mean, it's fast. That EcoBoost V6,
yeah,
it's pretty fast. The thing handles really well. Feels, car-like, just like a big car, basically, more so than an SUV. The one we had in, though, I guess a lot of features, but it was way over $50,000. So.
Well, yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it offers that you...
It had a lot of stuff standard. I mean, in its defense, and I have to tell you, I ended up liking it more than I liked it the first time I drove it, and more than I was prepared to. But like that huge panoramic sunroof, even though it was fixed, that's standard. and that's pretty unusual for that class. So
self-park was a mind blower too.
How did it work? I didn't actually try it out.
Phenomenal. It's foolproof.
It uses infrared instead of radar, and it is by far the easiest to use self-park system that I've ever tried. I mean, I got it on the first try.
Oh, it throws itself into spots you wouldn't even try.
Yeah.
Well, Lincoln's really trying to charge back, and I think it's happening.
They are. I guess my humble opinion is that the styling is certainly a matter of taste, and I still don't think their interiors are up to even the best at GM right now. But, I mean, it's definitely a big step back from where they were. They were very far down. But, man, that front end is...
I like it.
There you go. See,
it was very luxurious inside.
Yeah,
I thought
it was.
It wasn't super roomy, but I thought it was very luxurious.
Now the second row seat though has all that leg room that a Flex has got. So I thought it was pretty good.
And the carryover fridge
and the carryover freezer or refrigerator. So anyway, I think we all were. Found more positive to like about it probably than we expected, and that's good marks for a brand that, frankly, most people had written off.
Kudos for looking so much different than a Flex, too.
Yeah, it is certainly not a clone of the Flex. Okay, we're going to turn now to our lightning round. Now, this is a situation where we have 2 minutes to talk about or debate, as the case may be, a topic. And at the end of that 2 minutes, our producer, Michelle Parker, will do this. And that means that we should be quiet in the next millennium after she's done that. Okay, everybody ready? Here we go. The most important event in 2009 for the automotive industry clearly was the Chrysler and General Motors bankruptcies. Now, this time last year, the outlook for the auto industry was pretty bleak. What do you think the outlook is now as we head into 2010 with these companies now out of bankruptcy and supposedly getting back to health? Who would like to start?
I mean, I think it's still a cautious outlook. It's only been a year. What happened last year turned everything over on its head, and to say it's all going to flip and head upward now, I think that's being a little presumptuous. I think that it's probably going to find its way, just like the housing industry and just like everything else. But I think it still has a long way to go.
But we went from 16 million units to it's going to be a little over 10 for the end of this year. That is an amazing drop.
It is.
And do you think we'll see? Not to put you on the spot because I know you're not an analyst, but your gut feel says we're going to do a lot better than that this year, coming year?
No.
Well, I can guess, just like any other
everybody
analyst
else
would. Yeah,
right.
But, I think it would go up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's not going to be a huge gains, which is probably a good thing.
Right.
I think it's probably going to be if we get to 11 million. I think we'll be very fortunate. I don't think it'll do that.
Well, it's an uptrend. That's what you're looking for at this point.
Ben, any comments? I mean, my gosh, you certainly drive everything.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think it's a good drive in the right direction. I believe there's probably going to be a little more slimming down of the model lineups for maybe both Chrysler and GM before it's all over. But I have a good feeling this time next year will be in a better position.
I think that's probably a safe bet. Whether GM will continue to see its market share erode, whether Ford will be the top brand, besting Toyota, as a lot of people think. All of that's possible, but I think we've seen the worst of it. Yes. I hear you. I'm not deaf. All right, moving on. Let's now turn to our MotorWeek mailbag, and this is a special question, gentlemen, that involves the season. So put your little pointy hats on, and here we go. This is from Mr. S. Claus of North Pole, I guess Alaska. He didn't write down a state. And he asked, I currently own a vehicle that's powered by, should this be, it says 8 reindeer. What new car or truck, I think this is a fix, would you recommend that would get me around the world in one night, handle well in wintry conditions, and have enough cargo room for a large number of gifts and maybe even a few elves? All right. I guess a Ford Transit Connect would not quite work, right?
Maybe a 747.
A 747.
I don't think 8 reindeer is the way to go. I would go with a 6 reindeer supercharged.
Twin turbo or supercharged.
Audi S4 with Blizzaks on it.
And that's a good idea.
I'm not helping that guy. I'm still PO'd. He didn't bring me this $6 million man dial back when I was 7 years old. I'm not helping that guy out at all.
Well, to all of our listeners and to everyone that watches us on Motor Week, may you all have a merry holiday season, and I hope the big guy brings you everything that you could possibly want, and good health too. And that wraps up this Motor Week podcast. I want to give a special thanks and holiday greetings to Jim Bigwood, who's our audio engineer, our podcast producer, Bob Mixter, and of course to our intrepid producer, Michelle Parker. Thank you all, and for all of us at Motor Week, we'll see you here for our next Motor Week podcast, and watch us on Motor Week on local public television stations everywhere.
You have been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by Cars.com. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series each week on your local PBS station.